8. Expect to pay more than list price. People tend to buy cars more frequently than houses. As such, most people are familiar with how it feels to get excited about a car they saw an advertisement for, only to go to the dealer and discover the price is nowhere near as low as they made it sound on TV. Oh, they warn us, but it's in that speedy voice at the end or the finest fine print they can get away with flashing for a second on the bottom of the screen. Sure, you could get that model car at that price, if you want the absolute baseline car with no upgrades, and if they still had one of those in stock. It often feels like a bait and switch. It's kind of the same with a new construction house. You need to be prepared for the possibility of paying more than the actual list price for a new construction house. The price you see for the house is likely a baseline price. It'll have everything it needs to be a house, but it will most likely be for lower grade finishes and amenities. Different models, layouts, lot locations, and appliances than what were figured into their baseline price will increase how much your house will finally cost. Obviously, the builder and their sales rep will most likely be happy to help you choose upgrades. It just means they make more on the house. Having a knowledgeable real estate agent on your side can help keep you from going overboard on upgrades and also advise you on ones that are worth the money, ones that aren't, and ones you might be able to do later on or for less money. 9. Don't be encouraged to do this. Most people get a mortgage when buying a house, new construction or not. You should get pre-approved by a lender before you even start looking for a house. That way you'll know that a lender will be willing to lend you money and how much you can afford. It will also be something any seller will want to see when you make an offer on a house. That doesn't mean you have to actually get your mortgage through the lender who did your pre-approval. You can certainly shop around and find the best loan product, rate, and lender to work with when you do go under contract for a house. One thing a lot of builders do is encourage people buying one of their houses to use their preferred lender. It can actually come across as much more than being encouraged. Sometimes it sounds and feels like you don't have a choice. In some cases, builders even make it sound like you won't get the house you want if you don't use their lender. Why would they do that? If a builder is pushing you to use their preferred lender, it's probably because they have a bit more than just a good relationship with them. The builder probably has some financial incentive for encouraging you to use their lender. That doesn't mean you shouldn't consider using the builder's lender. That lender may very well be a good option for you. Perhaps they have better rates than any other lender you researched. Maybe they are willing to lend on the development when other banks will not. Sometimes lenders don't want to do mortgages until a certain amount of homes are sold and occupied by homeowners. Just don't ever feel like you have to use the builder's preferred lender. In most areas and scenarios, they have no right to dictate that. It's your choice. So if you're feeling undue pressure or even coercion to use the builder's lender, you may want to question why and push back on that. Having a real estate agent will likely help you avoid any of this pressure, since a builder will know that agents know they're not allowed to push this issue. And an agent can help you assess whether the lender they recommend is actually a good option, or if you should go to a different lender. Your agent will have recommendations that aren't tied to any financial incentives. It's against the law for agents to be compensated for recommending a lender. Also, they have to disclose any affiliation with the lenders they recommend. That's why most agents will actually recommend several, so they don't push you toward one particular lender. 10. The anticipation is killing me. When you buy an existing home, one that's been built and a homeowner is selling, you usually can't make an offer, get it accepted, and move into it immediately. It usually takes at least a month, maybe even 2 or 3 months, depending upon the circumstances. For instance, the owner may not be ready to move for a month or two. Maybe you need some time before you can move. And of course, the process of buying and closing on a home takes some time. But when you're buying new construction, you should budget even more time to be able to move in, unless you find a house that the builder has already completed and it's ready to move right into. You need to be prepared for delays. Building a house takes time to begin with, and things can and do happen. Sometimes it's the builder who simply isn't on top of things, and sometimes it's beyond the builder's control. It could be weather-related or a delay in materials being delivered. Inspections by the local authorities may delay a job. It could also be something you cause if you don't make decisions in a timely manner, like what cabinets, countertop, or appliances you want installed. Unfortunately, there's no typical amount of time you can plan on. But if timing is a concern to you and you aren't able to wait for a house to be built, you should probably focus on buying an existing house or a new house that's more or less complete and ready to move into. If you do have time, flexibility, and patience, you should still get the builder to commit to an anticipated delivery date. But don't be surprised if that delivery date comes and goes and your house is still not complete. In fact, plan on it taking at least a month or two beyond the completion date. If you're dealing directly with the builder and their sales rep, make sure you check in on the project frequently and get a feel for the progress. Having your own agent who's good at handling new construction and builders is helpful because it can be tough to constantly keep tabs on the job when it's not your job. An agent who handles new construction can help keep the job and builder in check for you and keep the actual completion date as close to the anticipated completion date as possible. He or she can also help keep the rest of the closing process in check as well. 11. What could possibly be wrong with the house? If you're buying an existing home from a homeowner, most people will get a home inspection. A home inspector comes in and looks for any problems with the house that you might not have noticed or could never have noticed on your own. A homeowner is supposed to disclose any known problems with their house, but sometimes they don't even know about problems a home inspector may find. And of course, some less than honest homeowners try to hide a problem they know about. So most home buyers want to get an inspection on the home they're buying to make sure there aren't any problems they should be aware of. But many new construction home buyers feel that getting a home inspection is a waste of time and money. They feel like, what could possibly be wrong with the house? It's brand new. You'd be amazed at what can be wrong with a new house, whether it's because a builder just made a mistake or deliberately cut corners. New houses aren't always flawless. Sure, their work gets inspected by the local building inspectors, but that doesn't mean the building inspectors catch everything or are looking at it as closely as your own lawn inspector would. It's important to note that the local building inspector isn't an agent for you. They are enforcing code, which is meant to protect you, but they aren't your direct advocate. So not only should you get an inspection, you should have your inspector do several inspections throughout the project. Builders may not encourage you to do this. In fact, they may discourage you from doing it. Just know that you have the right to hire your own inspector. And if you do want the right to an inspection, make sure you put that into the purchase contract. Home inspections are just one of many things that a knowledgeable agent will help you know about, look for, insist on, and negotiate into your contract. 12. If it ain't in writing. In real estate, a good rule of thumb to follow is, if it ain't in writing, it don't exist. Make sure everything you want and everything you agree to is in writing. Don't just go by a handshake or verbal agreement. But you also want to make sure that what's in writing is also in your favor, and not just the builders. It's not uncommon for builders to have their own contracts that they want to use. Some people look at this as a good reason not to involve a real estate agent, because they feel like that's about all they do. Just fill in some lines on a standard contract. So if the builder has one already, why even have an agent? Plus, many people feel like the builder's contract is simpler and more straightforward than all of the paperwork real estate agents insist upon. First of all, some builders' contracts are actually longer than the contracts agents use. But it isn't about what's shorter or easier. It's about making sure you are protected. The chances are that any contract a builder has is going to be written in their favor. No, not necessarily. But you at least have to be alert to the fact that it might be. You need to read every bit of it and understand what you're signing and agreeing to before you sign it. If you have your own real estate agent, the builder may allow you to use contracts and forms that your real estate agent prepares, rather than their own contract, which should include protections for you as a buyer. But even if the builder insists upon using his or her own contract and forms, a real estate agent who handles new construction knows what to look for in the builder's contract and can help you negotiate things that are not in your favor out of the contract. Similarly, he or she can add in protections for you that the builder did not include. 13. Do you know who you're dealing with? New construction builders aren't one size fits all. Some are big, publicly held companies. Some are big but privately held. Some are smaller, local builders who run a tight ship. Some are smaller, local builders who probably shouldn't run a ship at all, let alone a tight one. And there are even more types and descriptions of builders we could list beyond that. The point is this: every builder is different. So it's important to size up who you're dealing with and deal with them accordingly. While there's too much to even make a dent, here are a couple examples of things that could help you when you know who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a big national brand company, they may be able to hold out for longer than a smaller local builder who's desperate for cash flow. So you may not be able to negotiate as hard with a bigger company than the smaller local one. On the other hand, a bigger brand may be very willing to strike a better deal if they're publicly held and need to show sales and profits at the end of a month or quarter. Or perhaps they just have another project they want to move on to. And how the builder acts, reacts, and how easy or difficult they are to deal with will also be affected by the type of builder they are. If it's a big brand, they most likely will have employees who manage the process. On the other hand, a local builder may be swinging a hammer and actively engaged with the process. There are pros and cons to each scenario for you as a home buyer. It isn't about one necessarily being a better scenario than the other, so much as it's about being able to handle the different scenarios. Knowing who you're dealing with and being able to deal with them accordingly is how you get as much as you want, can, and should. and getting it all in as timely and smooth a manner as possible. Obviously, if you don't deal with new construction builders regularly, the learning curve happens as you're dealing with the process and the builder. Having an agent who deals with new construction is a benefit because he or she can size up who they're dealing with, if they haven't already dealt with this builder many times before. Or the agent can help you get the best deal by knowing how to deal with that particular builder. 14. You don't need any agent. While I've been saying an agent would be useful to most new construction homebuyers throughout this booklet, that does not mean any agent would be. I've certainly tried to choose my words carefully so that it's apparent that if you're buying a new construction home, you should hire an agent who understands new construction and has skills that will be useful to you. Having an agent who's just along for the ride to the commission check is pointless. Your agent should be earning their commission and be worth every penny he or she makes. That does not mean you need to hire an agent who only specializes in new construction. In fact, an agent who also handles existing home sales can be quite helpful by bringing that insight and perspective to the mix for you. Most people buying any home, not just new construction, don't put enough thought into the real estate agent they decide to work with. They more or less stumble into working with someone, which plays a part in why some people feel like agents aren't all that great or useful. But if you take the time to find one that truly understands new construction, it can save you a lot of time, effort, and stress. He or she will help you avoid making costly mistakes and get you the best deal possible on your new home. And since you don't directly pay for your agent's services, the builder pays. This is subject to change with the new laws. Why not choose the best one you can? 15. This might also be helpful. I hope you found this booklet helpful and are better equipped to decide if buying new construction with an agent or without is the best decision for you. If you decide to go it alone, good luck. If you would like the help of an agent, I'd love the chance to work with you. Hopefully you've gotten the sense that I kinda get the whole new construction thing. Either way, I have another booklet I'd like to suggest because I think it might also be helpful to you. While this booklet focused only on aspects of buying a new construction home, my booklet entitled The Ultimate Home Buyer's Guide is a start-to-finish look at the process of buying any house. It'll help you find the best home for your wants and needs and get it at the best possible price. It's free and there's no obligation. Just let me know if you'd like a copy by sending me an email, a text, or giving me a call. Hope to hear from you soon. If not, good luck with your move.